Yay! Hi, YouTube. Thank you so much for coming to my next live stream. I'm really excited to be here and talk about Monate and the spouse of the first ever Monate market partner, who's literally at the very top of the pyramid and has Jacqueline Ortega and Joe Irgorn underneath her, and makes millions and millions of dollars a year in her network marketing business. So I love talking about distributors who are the first in their company. It's really fun for me. So Rich said he was watching. So the comment that Rich left was meant for yesterday, and Rich is actually here and waiting for this one. So Rich, if you're here, thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. I hope your gig was really fun and that you played some great music. I miss playing music. I used to be in band in high school and continued playing in my early adulthood, young adulthood years, and it was a really big part of my life for a while. Miss playing piano, miss playing flute. I taught myself how to play the clarinet and I sucked at it, but it was really fun. Rich said, "Yep, here," and the gig was fun. That's awesome. I'm happy that the gig was good, Rich. My computer is extra freezy tonight. My face is freezing every 2 seconds. Hope it's okay on your end. Sorry if it's not, but it'll be fine. So I just realized that I've been on YouTube for almost a whole year, and I've actually been relatively consistent with my hobby here, which is really cool. And so almost a year anniversary of making these videos and talking about pyramid schemes on the internet, and it's been really fun. So thank you to anyone who's watched me so far. Live Panic says, "Hi, Heather." Hi, Live Panic. Thank you for joining. It's really fun that you're here. So I'm ready to get started. We're going to talk about the spouse of the first ever Monate market partner, and he's going to give us some elite training. So it's really exciting. I'm going to make myself small because I'm freezing constantly, and this way it won't be as annoying and you won't see my face in my full face freezing every 2 seconds. But I hope you enjoy this. I turned the volume down for the introduction because the music is super loud, but I will turn it back up when it's just him talking.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jay Treelor, and officially welcome to our elite training group. We're so glad that you took the time to join us. This is one of those things that...
What do you mean, Jay? You're so glad they took the time to join you, but if they're in Tony's downline, they're probably strongly encouraged / pressured to watch this training, even though we know people in MLMs do not make any money for any of the time they put into their business when they are not recruiting someone or selling a product. So you know that people in your downline are going to join you, Jay. You know that.
It really takes a village to raise a village sometimes. So congratulations for joining us. Now, this is not...
Congratulations for joining us. I've never heard that before in MLM. Have you? Like, congratulations for joining our team. I've heard, like, congratulations for taking the step to change your life forever. Congratulations for stepping outside of your comfort zone, but never congratulations for joining my specific team. Seems a little weird.
A training video, so to speak. I'll be talking in a couple of nights, but I wanted to get on here, first of all, to say hi. Most of you know me. I'm Tony Van Schoik's husband. She was the first market partner. I am the first Monate spouse. I was the first Monate retired spouse too. And I've had a lot of questions.
So Tony Van Schoik is his spouse, and she was the first ever Monate market partner. So she's literally at the top of the pyramid. Rich just said it takes a village to fund his lifestyle. Yeah, it takes 100 to 200,000 people in Monate in his wife's downline to make sure that his family stays very, very rich. That's a great point, Rich. What was I going to say? Oh my God. So he was saying that he was the first Monate spouse and then the first Monate spouse to be retired. And he's not going to actually say that he was the first one to be retired because his wife was the first in, and it was really easy for her to recruit people, and she made lots of money really quick because of the privilege of being the first in. No, of course not. Like these people at the top of their companies never actually acknowledge their privilege and acknowledge that they got in at a time when nobody knew about the company and when it was really, really easy to sell people on it. I'm still having throat issues. I can't really swallow very well. It takes a minute to actually like get the swallowing motion down. So sorry if my voice sounds a little funky.
Coming at me over the past few days about getting husbands involved, getting spouses involved. So this is more of a homework assignment than it is a training video. My number one tip for getting anyone involved in this business is treat it like a business. If you treat it like a business, your friends and family will treat it like a business. And when it comes to
if you treat it like a business, your friends and family will also treat it like a business. And I think that could be used as a way to blame the individual when their family isn't being supportive and say like they don't support you because you're not educating them well enough, or you don't have the proper mindset when you're telling them about the business. And of course it's not because it's a pyramid scheme and they're worried about you financially and mentally. It's because you're not treating it seriously enough. So I'm actually going to let him talk. I know I'm pausing it way too much already.
Spouse, whether it's your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, no matter who it is, the most important thing that you can do is introduce them to the business like you would do a potential market partner. Onboard them, give them the business opportunity, let them see what it is that we do all the time. And if you can do that, if you can treat it like a business with your family, I'm telling you, that's one of the secret sauces for Tony and I.
I have a lot to say about what he just said. I can't go without like more than a few seconds without pausing because then I'll forget everything. But Panic says, I always thought signing up your spouse was something you're encouraged to do, but not to brag about, right? Yeah, and what do you think, Lip Panic, about the idea of onboarding your spouse? So not only just like sharing with your loved one about maybe you're excited to start a new job, maybe you're telling them about your new colleagues or your new work friend, right? Or your new boss. Not just that, you are onboarding them. Can you imagine being pressured to sit down with your husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, partner, and sit there and try to convince them that Monate is a good business for you and for your family? Imagine the kind of strain that narrative can really put on relationships and loved ones, and it's just so toxic to this man is telling us to onboard our spouses into our MLM pyramid scheme business. And while we're watching him, like I actually don't mind his personality. I feel like if I met him at work, I would like him and I'd want to be his friend. And we said multiple times on this channel before that can make it more dangerous when you have someone who's seemingly nice, seemingly rational and intelligent, saying really, really toxic, negative, manipulative things like onboard your spouse into your pyramid scheme.
Like I said, I was the first retired spouse. After only 8 months with the company, Tony retired me. And so it took me a couple.
If you join Monate now with your spouse, or your spouse joins, you're not going to retire your spouse in 8 months now. She was able to do it so quickly because she was the first one.
Years to really get involved with things. And when I did, I didn't really know how, from a business standpoint, how to do it. That's because I was overthinking it. I wasn't getting into, the business mode. I was thinking about, we have great shampoo. I needed to dial it back and treat my friends and treat my contacts like I was presenting them with the opportunity. And once I did that, it was a huge help. So that's my number one tip for getting your spouse, anybody in your family involved with it, is treat it like a business all the time. If you take it seriously, they will take it seriously. The second thing is husbands, boyfriends, wives, whoever. If you want them to be involved in the business, have you asked them to be involved in the business? A lot of times we assume people are going to help us out and we haven't asked. Don't be afraid to ask them. Make sure that you are letting them in on this opportunity with you. Once Tony and I started doing the business together, it was an amazing thing. We had so much fun doing it together. And I'm not saying that everybody can do this business together with their spouse or boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever it is. What I'm saying, though, is that maybe you can. Maybe there's someone in your life.
So he's talking a lot about how to get our spouses involved in the business. And again, if we take it seriously, then they will, of course, take it seriously as well. And just if we happen to be able to convince our spouse that money is a good idea and that they're going to help us, that does not mean for sure that we are going to have the same experience as this family. There's a big connotation, there's a big narrative in MLM that just because one person did it and got really rich, that means that everyone else who tries can also be really rich too. So just because you do what they did, and then just because you ask your spouse to be involved and then your spouse now takes it seriously, does not mean that you're going to have the same experience as these people. So Rich says, if the spouse is paying attention at all, they already know that the other spouse isn't really making anything. Exactly, right? But do you think that a spouse of someone in an MLM would know enough to keep like a profit and loss statement? Like if they're not already aware that MLMs are pyramid schemes, they might not necessarily know to do that. And they might just see like their spouse is bringing in, say, $1,000 a month and then not necessarily make the connection that they're spending like $700 a month to get that. And so the profit is actually $300. I don't know if myself before getting into this content on YouTube would know to keep track of my spouse's expenses. What do you think about that? Just another presentation by someone who has no concept of life at the bottom. Yeah, exactly. Someone who doesn't know like how your average Monate market partner actually, like what they actually have to do day to day and how much work they actually have to put in to make a measly amount of money. Yeah. Rich says, I would know. Oh, really? Did you have experience in an MLM, Rich? I didn't know that. If you're comfortable with it, only if you're comfortable, you can tell us about it. If you're not comfortable, that's totally fine. Oh, and the panic would know too. If you guys are comfortable, tell us about it. No pressure though. I appreciate you.
That you can partner with that you haven't given the opportunity to onboard them. Take your husband, take your wife, take whoever, take them aside, onboard them like you would a new market partner. Take the time to truly show them the opportunity and what we do. And if you're taking it seriously, they'll take it seriously. I know it's like a broken record with that, but that's the number one thing that you can do to bring people in your life into this business is to teach them what you know. Don't assume that just because they're around it all the time that they know about it. I was around it all the time. Honestly, I tuned it out. I helped with parties, I did things, I was involved in that aspect of it, but I didn't know what I didn't know. I was an engineer for 20 years. I didn't do sales, I didn't do network marketing. Tony did. So
I have something to say, and I'm definitely going to forget it if I don't say it. Have you ever been in a company? Did I say this already? I don't know. Tell me if I did. Have you ever been in a company where part of your training was telling you how to present your job to your spouse and how to convince them that your job is a good job and that they should help you too? In my experience, I've never had that kind of training before because that honestly doesn't make any sense at all. And it'd be a really big red flag. Like, why do I need to convince my spouse that I'm in a good job? I think in the MLM context, it's important to get your spouse on board because if a spouse is unsure, then they could start planting doubt in your mind. They could introduce you to some objective information and statistics and data about how the MLM business structure is a scam and that they're not likely to make money, and that could encourage the other spouse to leave, of course. And so I think that's why it's so important to get your spouse on board as quickly as possible. Okay, no, not with an MLM, but I would know about the missing money. Oh, gotcha. Okay, that makes sense, Rich. I would for sure know if my husband was doing something that was losing money. Yeah, that's a good point, right? Because if you're like paying attention to your finances and paying attention to like your shared account and the balance that's in the shared account, you would probably notice for sure if that number like was going down. So that's a really good point. Yeah. Like not necessarily like keeping a detailed profit and loss statement, but like just paying attention to your overall finances. Good point. How all this flies under the radar of the spouse is beyond me. Yeah, maybe not everyone pays really close attention to their finances, right? Like if spouses do have a shared account, maybe they're not keeping track. And I know some people with their spouses like don't actually have a shared income, like shared account, and they just have like their separate bank accounts. And so maybe in that case they don't really pay attention. But yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, like I would definitely pay attention. Like my spouse and I right now don't have a shared account, but we will at some point soon. But yeah, I'm just blabbing now.
So honestly, I'm gonna let you know another little secret too. When this whole thing first started for us, the summer of 2014, I didn't think anything about it. I didn't think it was going to be anything even close to this. It's not that I didn't have faith in her. I just like, what? We're going to sell shampoo? Why on earth would we sell shampoo? And then in a couple months, things got rolling, and I saw it. I saw her vision, but she needed to show me what she was doing. She couldn't just assume that I knew what she was doing because I was around it all the time. So learn from my mistake.
Do you think that's true that when his wife joined as a first ever market partner that he did not think that this was going to be anything? Personally, even though I think he seems like a nice guy and I would be his friend in real life, I think that is bullshit. I think he is being deceitful because anyone who even slightly understands the MLM market structure would know that to be the first one in to a brand new business, brand new MLM business that they haven't made. Like they are going to easily make millions of dollars. And as long as they meet their minimum requirements, that they don't really have to work that much, assuming that the network grows underneath them. What do you think about that? Rich said, we have separate accounts, but I would still know because she would tell me when she ran short. Yeah, that's a good point. Like, assuming you have open communication with your spouse and you make financial decisions together, I would definitely see that for sure. But then we know that a lot of the times people, like, especially in Beachbody, are told to, like, just sign up your spouse and then ask for, what was it, forgiveness and not permission. So, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, though. I'm overthinking everything today. So, my computer froze. Lift Panic says, I wonder what this guy does all day. He's out recruiting his buddies. He tells us later that he's now like coaching and leading teams. So he's probably helping Tony with like team calls, and maybe he's like her assistant and he's like answering messages and emails and stuff. But I wouldn't really know. Maybe social media too. Good question though.
From our mistake, take the time, educate the people in your life, sit down with them. And by onboarding your spouse, I mean really onboarding your spouse. There's a lot of great onboarding videos. The people that are doing the training in this group have done a lot of fantastic things as far as onboarding goes. Do that. We have all made a lot of contacts over social media the past few months, and that's fantastic. And honestly, social media is a great thing for your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend to be involved with, helping you with content, doing Instagram posts, all that stuff. But sometimes you need to dial it back and dial it back.
Sorry for the weird noise that just came out of my body there. That was weird. I had something in my head. Oh, yeah. So, what is our motive for onboarding our spouse? Do we want them to just blindly support our business? Do we want them to help us with social media, like you said? Maybe we want them to be our assistant. Do we want to sign up our spouse as a member of our downline? I think this is where the motives get pretty murky for me and a little bit unethical, because I feel like it's people who are high up in the company wanting everyone in the family to be on board so they can eventually at some point convince them to get their spouse to retire, so the family is only reliant on one income, and then it makes it a lot harder to quit when you only have one income that's based in, like, that's your money income. Does that make sense? Rich says, "LOL, hold still, honey. I'm trying to onboard you." Can you imagine, like, you're out on like a dinner date with your spouse, right? Or you're trying to watch a movie, and then you're like, "I need to onboard you into my pyramid scheme now. You better listen," right? Can you imagine how awkward that would be too? And I wonder if they would actually like ask for permission before having a conversation like that. Like, "Hey, honey, I'm going to do a 10-minute presentation about my new company to you. Is that okay?" I wonder if they're just like I just said, like hijacking dinner dates. Either way, I think it could potentially be really toxic for a relationship. And if my spouse wasn't just telling me about his day, but like convincing me that his job is an amazing job and like giving me a presentation, I would be really put off by that, and I'd probably be really annoyed.
Back to who you're educating and how you're educating them and why you want to educate them. So again, this was just a quick, maybe homework assignment for everybody to think about tonight. There's some great training coming up over the next couple of days, and there's a lot of things you're going to be learning about our story, what everyone else has been doing. But this is something that you can do on a continuing basis. Your mom, your dad, the people that doubt you. Educate the people that doubt you the most. The people that don't think you can do it, don't think you can do it because you haven't taken the time to educate them. Use this
stuff like this when I see someone who is nice and seems really respectful, and I wonder like how they ended up in this kind of industry, and whether he has to know that what he's saying is wrong, of course. Like, he has to know that the majority of people in money don't make any money, but he's sitting there saying that your spouse doesn't support you because you have not educated them enough, and you are not taking your business seriously enough, and that's why they don't support you. So it's your job to convince your spouse that what you're doing is ethical and that will help you financially. And why isn't he saying, like, if your spouse doesn't agree with your Money business, maybe talk to them about it and see if you should move on and do something that both you and them can get behind, right? Like, there's never an encouragement of open communication and saying like, "Hey, spouse, why don't you support this? Like, what are you worried about? Let's talk about it." And maybe even coming to the conclusion that like, "Okay, if you feel this strongly about it, I'm not going to do it." Because when you're in my opinion, this is my view, other people can disagree. When you're in an equal relationship, I think you should include each other in important decisions. And if there's something that's going to impact your financial stability, I think your spouse should have an active role in making that decision with you. And I think it's really, really harmful and toxic when these MLM people encourage people to just sign up their spouse without permission, just sign up for this MLM without their permission. And it's just extremely, extremely disrespectful. And I could imagine that this brings up a lot of really negative conversations in relationships. So Liv Panic says, "It's so disturbing to see couples with all their eggs in one basket like this." Yeah, exactly. And their experience is not typical, of course. Like, as long as people are still in the downline and are still buying and recruiting, they're going to be fine. But people who are like near the bottom or the middle of the pyramid, their experience is a little bit different, and it's definitely more high risk.
Time. Wow, we're so excited. This came out of my nations. You saw all of us in Bora Bora. It was my second elite trip. I loved it. It was fantastic. Not because of the trip per se. Bora Bora was fantastic. I love being around the people that we do business with. I love seeing, Brittany. She's been on 3 trips. I love seeing Sarah and her husband and everybody and seeing the new people. That was fantastic. But we learned from each other. So I'm glad that you're here. Welcome again to the group. I hope that you're all finding things to take away from everybody that's here. If you have any questions, ask me. I'm on Instagram. Ask me in the comments below. I think we're probably going to do a husband's boot camp sometime coming up. Every time we try and do a husband.
Don't do a husband boot camp. Just leave them alone. Let them do their own job. And also, like, spouses don't necessarily have to share everything together. Like, you can just like do your job. Your husband, your wife, your partner can do their job. And then when you're done working, you can hang out together and have fun. You don't need to do everything together. Do you know what I mean? Trying to click Charlie's comment. There you go. Just got here and I already hate this man. Hi, Charlie. I'm happy you're here. This is Jay Treelar, who is the spouse of the first ever Monate Market partner, Tony Van Schoik. And we're almost done. There's like 2 minutes left, but we're really happy you're here. Thanks for joining. It is ironic that the company is so keen on requiring support of the spouse and the family, but run away screaming a contract employee when the lawyers come after them for the false claims they push. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's a really good point, Rich. Rich said again, where is their support for the double, triple topaz distributor? I don't understand that. Is that like, is that a joke? It's pretty funny, but I don't get it. Like, is there actually an MLM rank with double, triple topaz? Explain, Rich. Oh my God, my computer's freezing. The family that prays together stays together. Right? Yeah. It's really disturbing, I think, when there's like a whole family that is just so ingrained in the MLM industry and raises kids in the MLM industry. When I have my voice back a little bit more, I'm going to do the Amway founding families video where, yeah, I talk about the Fernando family, the DeVos family, and about G3, which is like the grandkids of the founders who grew up with their whole life in Amway, and Amway is really all they know. And of course, they all think that Amway is the most amazing, life-changing company. Rich said, made it up. Okay, gotcha, Rich. I thought so, but I wasn't sure. But that's funny. I'm sure somewhere there is an MLM company with a rank name double, triple topaz. That's funny. I like that. But if you'd like the title, yeah, I'll take that title. That's funny. I like that. Some of these ranks are pretty ridiculous too. Like, I'm sure somewhere out there is like a double topaz rank for some random MLM somewhere.
Husband's boot camp ends up being a bunch of wives and girlfriends that want to get their husbands and boyfriends involved. But
this is a societal issue. It's not just an MLM issue. He was good earlier in the video talking about not assuming that all the women who are in Monate automatically have husbands or like boyfriends, but now here he's saying like it's always women who want to get their boyfriends or their husbands involved. And heterosexism is a general societal issue, of course, and it's not just his fault. But when I hear things like that, when we assume that everyone is heterosexual, it does bother me a little bit.
But if we want to try and create a training platform for husbands and train the husband kind of thing, I'm trainable. Yours probably is too. Maybe we have an opportunity to do that. And I see a lot of people asking questions and stuff.
My father just sent me a picture of his dog having a nap, and he is so cute. He is a Nova Scotia Duck Taller Retriever, and he's like sprawled out on the bed, and it's really cute. But I hate the idea of training your husband. He just said, like, I'm trainable. I'm sure your husband is trainable too. I feel like he's joking around, but I hate the thought of training your spouse to like your business, to be supportive of your business so you can stay in the company for longer and you can financially benefit your upline more. I hate that. So toxic, so manipulative. If your spouse doesn't agree with your money business, do not try to manipulate them or change their mind. Just accept it and then move on, in my opinion. Oh, Hall Jones is here. Hi, Hall. Does the husband get a treat when he sells shampoo? I like that. Maybe he gets some candy or something. We never know, right? That's funny. Charlie says, I don't think he's joking. Yeah, I was hoping he was joking, but you're probably right. They probably are actually taught to literally train their freaking partners to just fall in line with them, think the exact same way they think, and perceive money and their business in the way that they want them to perceive it. And Hall, it's really nice to see you here. I'm happy that you're here for a live. Thanks for joining us.
I'll come back through and answer them all. And again, if you have any questions about how you can get your family, your spouse, your significant other involved in the business that you don't think that I've touched on this video, ask me. Always happy to help. It's what I do. It's what I do now. I teach, I coach, I train. It's kind of what my...
One of you asked, what does he actually do? He teaches, he coaches, and he trains.
Evolution has been, and honestly, I'm a lot older than most of you that are watching. I'm going to be 53 in March, and so it gives me an opportunity to pass on my wisdom. All right, so that's it. I just wanted to make a quick video. Love you all. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I hope you're finding value in this.
Hall said a good thing. I'm trying to click on the comment. Got to get the whole family involved to make it harder to leave. Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's harder to leave if your spouse is totally ingrained and obsessed with the company. That's a great point. Hi. Hi, Hall. Thanks for joining. We're almost done.
And we got some more content coming up on Thursday and Friday. And seriously, take this opportunity right now where there's a lull in the training to think about who you haven't onboarded, who you haven't presented the business to, who you haven't shown what Monat is really about. Maybe it's just...
I wonder how far this goes. Like, are you expected to onboard your cousin who just turned 18, or your grandma, or your aunt who is maybe going through some financial struggles, or like your uncle who is going through mental health challenges, right? Like, how far are they pushing this? This is a 2-year-old video, but I'm sure that this is still rings true today, that he and Tony still teach people to onboard their family members. I'm just curious, is there anyone who is off limits? Probably not.
Spouse. Maybe it's the people that you live with. Maybe you think that they know more than what they know. And if you think that they know more than what they know, that's your fault, not theirs. So you take the time to be the educator that you need to be. And I will bet people that are in your life that are kind of on the fringe will come along with you eventually. Again, love you. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch me, and I'll address the comments down below. Good night.
So that's all I have for today. I don't know if I should make my face bigger because I'm so freezy, but whatever, it's fine. I don't think you guys will mind. I'm going to freeze a lot, just so you know. So Rich says, he sounds like, hi, I violate my spouse's trust for profit. Ask me how, right? It's like teaching you how to trick your spouse, manipulate your spouse, and get your spouse to think and act in the exact same way that you think and act. And it's just horrible. And why can't our spouses have independent thinking? Why can't they analyze the information themselves and come up with their own conclusion and be autonomous adults who can form their own thoughts? we know in MLM, you cannot form your own thoughts. You cannot have independent thinking. You need to think in the way that your upline wants you to think. And it's really, really sad. So that's all I have for today. What did you think about this short video? He seems like a really nice, intelligent person, and then he says very, very disturbing things about how we should be treating our life partners. And I would like to think that if I was in an MLM like this and I heard that, I would see that as a red flag and get out. But I think we've all been the perfect victims, potential victims of MLMs at some point in our life, where we were just so desperate for some kind of change that we might have ignored such a red flag. Myself, it was right after grad school when I was working part-time as a daycare teacher, looking for a job, and I could not find a job to save my life. It took me a full year. I would have been the perfect MLM victim at that point, and I might have ignored the red flags. Hall says, but it's not a cult. Yeah, right? Ugh. His message got really toxic at the end there. Yep. And I think, yeah, you live panic. You said this at some point that it's the people who seem really reasonable and nice that actually makes it more dangerous, because you really need to actually listen and pay attention to what they're saying in order to know that what they're saying is really harmful and toxic. So yeah, that's all I have. That was really fun. Thanks, Rich and Hall and Charlie and Lift Panic for watching live and chatting. That was cool. This stream and yesterday's stream, really enjoyed it. I felt like I was just like sitting at a coffee shop talking to some like coworkers about MLM scams, and it was just like really chill and relaxed, and really like it. I really like it when we're just chatting. It's really fun for me. So I hope you guys liked it too, and that you maybe learned something or like found some value from this. And yeah, thank you for joining. I think I'll probably not go live again until like Thursday or Friday. Maybe, I'm not sure. I think my throat needs a break from chatting so much for sure. You're welcome, Lift Panic. Thank you for joining. And thanks to anyone who will watch later and will like or leave a comment. Thank you so much. Bye, Rich. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.